Thank you so much. I'm super, super excited to be here. And I'm super, super excited to invite my friend Jeffery Katzenbreg on stage. I want to do an introduction, but I think no introduction would do you justice, to be honest. Jeffery, thank you so much for being here, for giving us this honor and coming to Israel. First of all, when is the last time you came to Israel?
I think it's maybe 15 years ago. I came here with Jerry Seinfeld and Chris Rock. Slightly different.
Same
than
audience,
coming here with Alex and your dad.
I mean, I have the same jokes as Chris Rock. So. But
I'm moving up. I'm just doing better.
Slowly but surely. Well, I'm super, super excited to be here, and I think in Israel, in the US, you're such a personality, and it's such an honor to have you. But for the people in the audience here, do you want to take us back a little bit through your career, where it all started? And I'm just going to sit here like a child and listen and enjoy, really.
Okay. Well, first of all, I do want to just say I actually don't ever wear hats, but I walked into a thing today.
And I happen to have the hat of your conference.
And yes, and Alex was good enough to give me a hat because he said, "That's not a great look." I went, "Okay." So he's just helping me out here. I started in politics and government. I worked for the mayor of New York City when I was literally in my teens, and did that. Loved it. It was my education. I didn't go to college. The streets of New York were my, where I got my education. Just seeing every day the importance, the value of a great functioning government, how important it is to support culture and society, and to really, deliver to those that don't have and to those that do. So it was just a really important journey for me. At the age of 23, I woke up and really thought, well, I want to get on with my career. I want to find some place where there's great opportunities, an entrepreneurial spirit, which I've always felt that I've had. I'm that kid that at 8 years old had the lemonade stand, and and I wanted to go to a place where I could find fortune and fame. And then it was Hollywood. There was no question. I was very lucky to be shepherded over an 11-year period of time by one of the true greats of the mogul era. Barry Diller was the CEO of Paramount Corporation, and took me in over a series of years, just allowed me the opportunity to get an education about the business that I was in. And so he just managed me in a way in which I spent time in marketing and distribution and international and business affairs and production and every side of it. So, when I was, 30 years old and became president of the movie studio, I'd actually been trained for the job. It was a very different era from today. It was an amazing time to be, an executive, to be running a movie studio. The types of movies and the types of filmmakers, the first Indiana Jones, Grease, Saturday Night Fever, just
so which one was your favorite? I
sorry?
gotta know which one. Which one was your favorite?
No, they're all favorites, But I'm just saying it was a wonderful, wonderful time to be making movies. Left there after 11 years and went to Disney, 1984. Went there with Michael Eisner and Frank Wells, and so the fun thing of my first day at work at Disney, I went in to see Michael Eisner. We'd already worked together for 8 or 9 years at Paramount, so we'd gone there together, but I went in and just said, I sort of thought about what are the priorities of the things that need to get done in the job, and I went through my list of things that I was going to go focus on, because I was running the movie, TV, the Disney Channel, and sort of everything that was content part of the business. And I I got up to leave the office, and he said, Jeffrey, one more thing before you leave. Come over here, I want to show you something. So we went to the corner. He was in Walt Disney's office, and we went to the corner window, and he pointed at a building across the way, and he said, you see that building over there? I said, yeah. He said, you know what they do there? I went, no, I have no idea. He said, well, that's where they make the animated movies. I went, well, that's nice. And he said, yeah, it's nice. It's also your problem. That was my introduction to animation. I'd never made an animated movie. I never studied animation. As I said, I never went to college. So I didn't, other than probably like most people, I had saw an animated movie or two in my childhood. I had no idea. And it's an interesting, to me, it's one of those many things, life lessons you learn along the way, because what started out as my problem became my passion. And my passion became my success. But it started with something I had zero interest in, had no experience in. And interestingly, Walt Disney had passed away 20 years before we came to the company, and yet I would say to you, I am a student of Walt Disney. Never met the man, obviously. And you say, well, how is that possible? Well, at the company, which I discovered reasonably soon, is that he had an archive of all of his work and his work product. And so this very fundamentals, you could actually go back and see every step of how Snow White was made, from the first moment that he told the story to his animators till it was finally really delivered. And he had these amazing, just sort of very clear, what I would call sort of North Stars to follow. He said, I make movies for children and the child that exists in all of us. Bam! Drop the mic. Like, okay, that's
That's a mission statement.
It is. That's a mission statement, right? He said, my movies are only as good as my villains. Well, what did that do for me? Ursula, Jafar, Scar,
thank you for that one.
Farquaad, Tai Lung. I could keep going through my entire career. Like, if you don't have a great protagonist, then, what is the journey for your hero? And the better the villain, the more epic the journey for that. So anyway, there were these amazing lessons there. In 1994, I had the most amazing year of my career to date. Lion King was the #1 movie. The Lion King soundtrack was the #1 record. Home Improvement was the #1 TV show. I could go through every Beauty and the Beast was the #1 show on Broadway, and I got fired. So there's another great lesson, sometimes those moments that seem the most dire end up actually being, one door closes and another one opens, and getting fired at Disney turned out to be, one of the best things that ever happened to me. And, 2 weeks after I was fired, I started with David Geffen and Steven Spielberg, DreamWorks. Ha ha. Wasn't too bad. It was a really a fantastic, partnership, and just a realization of a dream of being able to, over the next 10 years became the biggest animation studio in the world, actually surpassed Disney and, television and film. And then 7 years ago, Comcast showed up with, out of a pretty epic movie, an offer that was too good to say no, right? And so I found myself then, I was literally reminded of that moment back when I was 23 years old, and asked the same question, which is, okay, in 2016, if you wanted to go to the place with the greatest entrepreneurial, greatest opportunity, fortune, and fame, the answer today would be digital technology.
So it wasn't retirement after that big acquisition?
Retirement is for when you go in the ground, not at least for me. That's when I'll retire. And so, I think maybe for many people, in this room in particular, a blank slate, a blank whiteboard, a blank piece of paper, you look at that and you go, opportunity. Many people look at that and don't, it scares them. And I have always loved taking on very challenging, very big things. At each and every one of those chapters, if I went back and talked about where they were to where they ultimately had to go, at the outset, you would have said in every one of those instances that they were somewhere between the idea that you could do it and or that they would succeed is somewhere between impossible and improbable. That's my home address. That's where I live. And that's what I think great entrepreneurs do. I think that's the spirit of an entrepreneur is, you know, it is about looking at the impossible. It's about looking at, you know, the improbable and having, the insight, having the ambition. And I would say if we had to pick one word, that my partner, Sujay, who you're going to meet next year, that we, look for over and over and over again is perseverance. Perseverance is just, if you don't have that quality, probably the rest of it's not going to matter. That's how imperative that is.
I mean, we felt that even at Deel, right? Opening 100+ entities, it's like, if you don't persevere, specifically as you build things, it's impossible to really move forward. So you went over to Silicon Valley, to the tech world. How was that?
Well, it's been really, exciting for me. It's been a very steep learning curve. I'll go back to two of these things. So I have, I think, a good quality. So I just start with just saying I know something about almost everything and everything about very, very little. But one of the things I've always been pretty good at, I say pretty good because, when you're a mogul in the mogul era, it's people don't like to contradict you in it, which is the opposite of what you really need in life. But I've always been pretty good about knowing what I don't know, and then looking for the solution to that, looking for the person, looking for the answer for what I don't know. And in making this transition of wanting to go into the world of tech, and I will just say that I look at sort of 2010 to 2020 and think about the impact that digital technology has had on all of our lives, every aspect of every one of our lives. It's kind of amazing. It is improbable. It is hard to imagine. And yet, if you look at 2020 to 2030, my bet is it will be 10x what it's been before. So that's the place of opportunity. And again, I needed to find someone who knows what I don't know. I've also had people ask, is there a secret to your success? And the answer is I don't know. There are many different things, but I know there's one that has been particularly meaningful for me is I have had phenomenal mentors and partners.
Who was your...
Every step.
Who's the one person you look up to the most?
Well, I had Barry Diller was incredible. Michael Eisner was incredible. David Geffen was incredible. Steven Spielberg was incredible. And you're going to meet in a few minutes Sujay Jaswal. Who? You will see. Half my age and twice as smart as me.
So you move from, and yes, Sujay is amazing, and you are going to have a lot of fun. So you move from Hollywood into the tech space, right? With your endeavor there, Quibi, and then eventually becoming an investor as well. I'd love to dive into Wonder as well, because you guys are one of my favorite investors. There's Anthony here as well. He'll kill me if I don't say that. But in general, like, what do you think really transcribes from the Hollywood world into the tech world?
Well, and again, you'll hear more of this from Sujay. He'll be much more articulate about it. But, when you hear his background, because he, very much like me, and maybe that's why we are so simpatico, it's why we are such good partners, is that we are builders like all of you. We've actually built companies, and we continue to build companies today. It is the thing that um, that we have found just, again, this very great alignment and that works uniquely and gives Wonderco, I think, at least a distinctive perspective that you've probably found a little bit in our dealings, which is we are today doing two things in conjunction with one at the same time. There's sort of two parallel paths that we're on. One is we build companies ourselves. And so we've incubated companies, we've done a take private, we've done startups and we're doing them today. And so the problems that we see every day are the same ones that you see. And so, it's nice to talk about what I did 10 or 20 or 30 years ago. It's not that relevant to what it's like talking to Yoda. You can go on ChatGPT and talk to Yoda. I don't know how valuable that is, so, But as builders today, we face the same challenges and issues. And when you look at, what's the go-to-market strategy? What channels are you going to use? How are you going to use the tools of today, to achieve it? How do you find product market fit? Well, we're doing that each and every day. Sometimes succeeding at it, sometimes not. But that makes, I think, us uniquely relatable when we are dealing with founders like yourself. And so that's the other half. So 50% is that we're building companies. The other 50% is finding, very, very selectively, the best in class of companies and founders that we think are world-changing, are doing world-changing things, which, in our opinion, Deel is just as that's why we're here, because it's such a great example of somebody who is, an incredible entrepreneur with a fantastic, fantastic idea, incredible perseverance, and all of that charm and wit that comes with it. Wow, what could you ask for more?
Thank you for that. I think my personal experience, and hopefully you'll find, and I know you're here for this as well, find amazing investment opportunities here. And I think the one thing that I've found really unique is, like you said, you guys are operators. You know how to do this. And I have amazing investors, but rarely can I call Sujay or Anthony or yourself, like yourself, where I can say, I need to close Sony Music. I need help there. Or, like I've done with you on so many deals. And I think the fact that you are an operator changes the game, because you understand that, you can come in and help us get things done. And yeah.
Well, but that's what's fun for us. I mean, we know that, you'll hear, there isn't an investment firm in the world today that doesn't say, we're going to help you build your company. We're going to introduce you to this. We're going to, and there's some that do. So I'm not putting anybody else down. I'm just saying we have our lane of things that we do. We don't do it for a ton of companies. We don't have the bandwidth to do it, but it's when we do it, we are in 100%. And so, as you are at that moment in time where you are about to sort of have this transformative moment of moving Deel from SMB to enterprise. And when you do, and you've got the product to the place where you have incredible confidence of the value that you will deliver to those customers, we will open those doors for you. You know it. We've already been doing it, but we will do it, when you actually move up into that next level of it. One, because we're partners with you, we're investors with you. Two, because if we can introduce you to, an enterprise customer with a best-in-class solution, whether it's Disney or Walmart or, Delta or whatever it is, we're doing them a favor too, right? And so I always look at that as long as we're confident that what we're selling, you're selling, but we're introducing, it's our brand that's on the line with it, that you actually can deliver on the goods, I'll do that all day long.
And you have, so I'm very thankful for this. So tell us a bit about Wonder as a fund. You have, because there's Wonder Health, right? I saw that project going, or is it still?
I'm gonna let Sujay talk about it.
Okay, sure, I won't touch on it. But so what's your model on the fund? What's your take on, journey where you want to take it, and beyond that, what's your take on the current markets?
Again, I'll answer for myself, but once again, as you will see, Sujay's at a whole other level from me in this, but my own is that, so if I go back through the movie media entertainment career, every sort of chapter, I look at each sort of 8 or 10 years as a chapter for me, and in almost every 8 or 10 years something big happened, some big change occurred, and my job and my opportunity, changed. But if I look at every one of them, tech was just an essential ingredient in, just achieving the goals of the filmmakers and for myself. And so I always remind people, it's actually, kind of incredible, which is when Steven Spielberg made Jaws, he cut a piece of plywood in the shape of a fin and painted it gray and dragged it behind a motorboat. That was a special effect. So that's how crazy. There isn't anybody in this room that's old enough to, but it is extraordinary, the impact of technology, digital effects, and it's just moved through every chapter of it. If anybody remembers the ballroom scene in Beauty and the Beast, that was the first time that digital technology was used in an animated movie. The wildebeest scene, all the wildebeest coming and charging down the mountainside in Lion King. And I had these incredible opportunities where I kept going to Silicon Valley to get the tools to provide to our filmmakers, whether it was about digital distribution or digital, or 3D, and I could go on about how much value and how essential tech was for us. And so I, had a partnership with Andy Grove at Intel and with Hewlett-Packard and Steve Jobs, and made that first, partnership with him, and brought Pixar, put them in the movie business at Disney, and built a company in Silicon Valley. I had 800 employees in Redwood Shores and was up there every 10 days or 2 weeks. And so over those decades, I was exposed to many of the best venture capitalists there. And it was so interesting because when I met the first generation of them, which was sort of early on, when you look at the earliest days of Sequoia and Kleiner Perkins, and they are what I call truffle hunters. They were out looking for the rarest and best, and when they found them, just did everything they could to protect them, to nurture them, to give them the resources, to put the sunlight on, to water them, and that's what they were great. That's what I did in Hollywood. I always felt I was a truffle hunter. I was out looking for the best in our world. And I watched the evolution of that, and you can look at, again, about every 10 or 12 years, 15 years, somebody comes along with a slightly different take on that. And it's in every generation, there's another sort of best-in-class VC firm that has found something new. So you go from them, you go to Benchmark, you can go to Andreessen Horowitz, you can go to today to the Coatue Tiger Global. Each one is doing something slightly different from the ones that came before them. Our goal at WonderCo is we want to be that next generation VC that 5-7 years from now people will talk about, well, when these guys came along, they found a path that just was sort of unique and differentiated for them, and the companies and the founders that they actually got involved with were best in class. That's our goal. Whether we get there or not, I don't know, but if you in sports, you do know that if you don't swing at the ball, if you don't kick the ball, if you don't swing for the fence, you can't score. You don't life is about offense.
You miss every shot you don't take, right? So.
You gotta go, and I've always looked at myself, and I don't know if anybody plays baseball around in this country or not.
In this country, not, I don't know, but
it's a ball. You swing with the bat, you try and hit it out of the ballpark. That's called a home run. And I'm the home run hitter. Like if you need somebody to just hit a single and to bring somebody else in, you bring somebody else in. And so if you want to swing for the fence.
You might have a home run in the room. You don't know. So you're saying. So it's just going back on. By the way, I have to take you to generative AI at some point, if not, someone. But generally, you said the next 10 years in tech you think are going to be incredible, and it's going to have a 10x on what happened before. Is there anything you're really excited about when it comes to technology?
Every day. I mean, that is why this job is so exciting to me, because, you know, I don't want to say every day, but almost. Somebody walks in the door with an idea. Now, they're not, we're super, super, super selective about what we do, but I am so energized and impressed and excited by the ambition. Not everyone is right for us. We're not right for everyone. But people every day are showing up with their passion and their ambition and their perseverance. And that is just, it's to live around that is just so life-affirming. It just creates such a wonderful place to be able to live your life. And so I do think that there are, amazing things that come along. I mean, right now, these last couple of years have been a little bit harder at least for me, because I have to say, and I think you'll see, Sujay and I are pretty simpatico about this, is that, we look for real companies with real business models, with real product market fit, with revenue that have a fundamentally profitable model. Whether they're actually at the point of making profits, less important, but the model itself is one in which there's profit. So we tend to be pretty traditional, and so in that context, when you look at the things that have come along, Bitcoin, crypto, Bitcoin's going crazy again, but crypto, NFTs, Web3, it's like everybody is like the herd goes charging over here and just throws gajillions of dollars at this. And I just come from a place that if I don't understand it, I'm going to step aside, because there's enough things that I do understand that I don't have to chase something that just doesn't make sense to me. And, since I'm not moving illicit money around, I'm not a drug dealer, I'm just not quite figured out what the real value, of crypto is. But
I'm on the other side.
You're the other side? You're loving crypto?
I think 5% of all our payments at Deel are made on crypto. And that's mainly because people are struggling, right, with currencies and things like that.
You know what? If you're living in a country today where inflation has gone batshit and you're trying to move currency, let's say
that's the main use case.
Russia, maybe let's just say there. Okay, so it's the first time it's revealed that there's some utility function, but
there's a little one here.
But literally, this was like during, the world went kind of. Not only did we hibernate for 3 years, which is, against all human nature, but we also lost our minds, and so, a lot of these things, these meme stocks and crypto, it's like, okay, well, we can go to Vegas, but we don't actually have to leave our home.
We were all home. We had to do something for fun,
I got
right?
it, and that's all I'm saying is great. Now it's time for reality. In terms of, what are the opportunities around AI? I think there are multiple paths, and it's just it's so complicated that there isn't any one answer to it. So I can talk about the glass being full, and we've been using AI and ML in businesses of ours now for 4 years, 3-4 years. Generative AI, ChatGPT is like a whole nother lane that has arrived. And again, today I would say, I don't think that there's an industry that's going to disrupt more than the creative industries. Every one of the creative industries. So whether you're a poet, or a novelist, or a filmmaker, or a painter, or I can go on and on. I think that what and how it is going to change those right now is actually unimaginable to me. I just know it is going to be stunning.
So I know you don't invest in the creative industry as much as you used to, right? Do you think that might change because of generative AI?
I'm just waiting for the moment. It's not that we don't invest in media and entertainment. It's this media and entertainment today is not a growth industry. Yeah. And that's not to say it will not become one again, but right now, today, you can't, it's a challenged enterprise on a macro level and on down to a consumer level. From a consumer standpoint, the consumer today has not yet fully declared what they want, when they want it, how much of it they want, and what they're willing to pay for it. These things are all still in transition. Are movie theaters going to come back and thrive? Are they going to be multi-purpose movie theaters? Are they going to, only be, the blockbuster movies? Are there going to be personal films again? Like, all of that stuff is yet to reveal itself. I think it's probably the number one laggard coming out of COVID. Number one, literally, of all the industries that you can think of that you could pick, it is the one that is still not found what is its post-COVID path forward. So anyway, we look every day. Fortunately, there isn't a single thing in the media business that doesn't come for us to take a look at. And so with the amount of disruption that's going on, I'm certain that there is going to be, when things are at their direst is always when, when there's the biggest opportunity.
For sure. So, over you have so much experience over the last few years. I'm sure you've kind of built a mission statement that has kind of led you to where you are today and what you'll be doing for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, right? What is it? Tell us. Okay.
Well, he knows because we did a company update couple months ago, and
it was the best one. It was so good that we changed our principles for this, like literally.
Well, so this comes out of it's something that has evolved for me over the years, and it's actually quite simple. It comes down to just one of the most simple principles that you can think of, and it relates across pretty much every aspect of your life. I didn't know that at the beginning. At the beginning, when I started out, I found very simply, if I was given an assignment, any assignment by my boss, and I did it a little bit better than they had thought I was going to do it, there was a reward. The reward was either more responsibility, more opportunity, better compensation, whatever it was. I started to actually see, do this better than that got me this. And so it became a really sort of a natural thing for me, and it evolved over time. And it translated to me into two very simple words, which is exceed expectations. And so I started to incorporate that now, with in a very almost methodical way in which I started to think about what would that mean. And so exceeding the expectations of your boss, that's a pretty easy and pretty obvious one. Don't know I need to shed much light on that. Exceed the expectation of the people that work for you. Exceed the expectation of the people that work with you is a whole nother way to do it. And so I used to think about, well, we have these weekly meetings, everybody come in, they get routined. And so to try and exceed their expectations became both a challenge, but also out of that a motivation for it. And I thought the most obvious thing, which I don't know why I hadn't thought of way earlier on, which is your customer. Think's pretty simple. If you exceed the expectation of your customer, your business is going to, go through the roof. And so we started to, be quite methodical about making sure that the content that we made, the movies, the television show, everything that we made, our goal was that when you went to see one of those products, it was better than you thought. Well, if that happened, you had a blockbuster. And I thought, well, you know what? How about friendship? All of us in life, if you are fortunate enough to have a handful of people that are genuine friends of yours, and I started applying that principle to my friendships, and I found it deepened them and made them even more rewarding for me when I tried to exceed their expectations of what they did. Then I thought, okay, well, I'm going to try this on my kids.
How did that go?
And that was like another bar to reach there, which is, how to do it. And then finally, the all-time just, high bar of them all because I'm married 48 years. I'm still trying to exceed her expectations, so that's a tough one.
Jeffrey, I think I speak for everyone. I have one last question for you, a very short one, but I think I speak for everyone when I say thank you so much for being here, and thank you for everything you've done. I think all the child inside of us are very thankful for all the work you did. And I have to ask, when's the next time you're coming to Israel?
As soon as you invite me back.